Thank you for joining us. We're here live with Megan Avallone, Westfield Regional Health Department Director. Hi, Megan.
Hey, Amy.
Thank you for coming. We're going to talk today about COVID-19, something we haven't talked about in a while.
Right.
Okay. So we have several prepared questions, and then viewers are going to ask us whatever they're interested in hearing about. But let's start with, what is your assessment of the current state of the COVID-19 pandemic in our region?
Sure. Well, first, it's great to be back here. It's been a while, and the weather's great. As expected, as we enter spring, we are actually seeing low levels of COVID statewide, which is wonderful. This time of year, as we enter the warmer months, respiratory illness does tend to decline, so I do not anticipate at this time, any spikes maybe until the fall, although COVID has surprised us before, but I think it's safe to say that these summer months are going to be great ones.
Oh, good. Has there actually been an end to the pandemic or just the health emergency?
So what we're saying now is, we are actually ending the pandemic, right? As everybody knows, May 11th is the federal end to the pandemic, but that's not a magic date, right? It doesn't mean that the illness will go away, but what it does really signal is a shift, right? So now what we consider COVID to be is an ongoing health issue, right? And we know, just like flu and other respiratory illnesses, that in the fall, in the winter, we're going to see upticks. And then in the warmer weather, typically we're going to see lower levels of activity. So definitely, we are transitioning to a type of illness that we're probably going to see seasonally.
Okay, so like the flu, when people are indoors more, it spreads.
Right, when people are indoors, when people are closer together. Also, there's something with these viruses that they really like cold weather. One thing, though, that's important for residents to note, with the federal end to the pandemic, although, the real change is going to be that there isn't going to be funding anymore for free COVID testing, right? So the privatization of vaccination is different. That's separate from the end of the pandemic. So for right now, vaccination will still be free, but if individuals are looking to get tested for COVID after May 11th, it's likely that they'll have to go either purchase an over-the-counter test kit, or they may have to go to their doctor to get tested. But the Westfield Regional Health Department and Summit, we have lots of over-the-counter test kits for free. So if individuals are interested in getting a test kit, all they have to do is contact our office or contact City Hall, and we'll be more than happy to let you know where you can get one for free.
That's great. The address they can email us at is pressoffice@cityofsummit.org, and we can also put your contact information in the comments of this post. So are you saying that after May 11th, you'll still have free tests?
I am, correct.
Okay, that's great. Can you explain the ongoing vaccine or vaccination plan for our region?
Yeah. So as of right now, we are still continuing to vaccinate those who are high risk, anybody that still needs a bivalent booster, and any children that are now eligible for vaccine. So essentially, if any resident is interested in getting a COVID-19 vaccination, they can call our office or contact the press office, and we will set them up with a free vaccination appointment. All the vaccines that we offer are free, and we do a variety of different settings. So we're still out in the community. We do home visits for those individuals that would like such, and we're also doing in-office appointments on the weekends over in our Westfield office.
Okay, and that will continue indefinitely?
That's going to continue as long as the Federal Reserve of Vaccines is still available. So for the immediate future, we do anticipate to still have vaccination, but eventually at some point there probably will be an end to that. I just don't have a hard date for that right now. But as of today, we have plenty of vaccine for individuals who are interested.
Okay, great. Some people seem to be somewhat hesitant to continue getting booster shots due to concerns about whether there are side effects or just overall pandemic fatigue. What do you say about these concerns?
Yeah, I definitely, can understand that and empathize with that. Sometimes some individuals may have some side effects, mild side effects after vaccination. You may feel a little tired, your arm may be a little sore, you may have cold-like symptoms for a day after vaccination. What we typically recommend for individuals that have these concerns is, you might want to consider getting vaccinated on a day where the next day you can rest. We found our Friday and Saturday clinics to be well attended just because individuals typically can take it a little easier the next day. But vaccination is really, individuals should really evaluate their personal risk, right? If you're over 65 and have not had a bivalent booster, or if you're high risk for severe disease complications, you should really consider getting that booster, even if you feel a little not so great the next day.
Okay, great. So can you better explain, please, what a booster shot is and who may need one?
Yeah.
Because it's hard to know how many doses you should have now to be current.
It is so hard to know how many doses you need now to be current. So I'll try to walk you through it. And then after this, I can provide a link where the CDC graphs can be on the website for anybody who wants to look in detail. But essentially what we are saying now is everybody needs a bivalent booster. So the bivalent booster also have those Omicron strains attached to it. The old types of vaccines that we used to give, called the monovalent vaccines, we're no longer giving them. So if it's a child or an adult who has never had a COVID vaccine, now we're just giving essentially the bivalent boosters. For those who are 65 and above and are not immunocompromised, they should get one bivalent booster and then another booster 4 months after, or at least 4 months after the first booster. For those 65 and above who are immunocompromised, what we're looking at is one bivalent booster and then 2 months after that booster, and possibly additional doses. The most important thing for individuals, especially those that are over 65 or high risk for serious disease, to remember is talk to your doctor, right? Talk to your doctor and figure out the best plan of action for you. There are schedules that are changing, and it's when people call us and ask us for advice, we don't know everybody's individual health history. So now's a great time to ask your doctor about what your vaccination schedule should look like.
Great. So is the COVID-19 shot going to become something like a flu shot where you need to get it every year?
It's a little too early to say for sure, but it seems likely that it's headed in that direction, right? What we're seeing now is it looks like the COVID activity really mirrors flu activity, right? Where it starts to creep up in the fall, and then in the winter we're seeing higher rates of illness. So I would not be surprised if in the fall there's a new formulation of booster that mirrors, the type of strains that we're seeing in the community.
Sounds like there's a bird outside our window.
Yes.
Okay. So are there any new variants of the COVID-19 virus that may impact the effectiveness of current vaccines or boosters?
So the great thing about the boosters that are currently on the market and being offered is they're protective against the Omicron strains. Right now in New Jersey, in this region, over 97% of the strains that we're identifying are of the Omicron variants. So right now we still do have good protection against serious illness and hospitalization. The strains do have changed over time. That's why there might be a new vaccination to hit the market, a new type of vaccination to hit the market in the fall. But for right now, individuals who have not had that COVID booster, we would say, definitely consider it because it is protective against the strains we're seeing in the community.
Okay, great. How important is it for everyone to get vaccinated or boosted, including those who have already had COVID-19 or have a natural immunity?
Yeah, so what they are saying now, what studies are showing is the best immunity is individuals who have had COVID and have been vaccinated, right? But what I can tell you is everybody's immune system is different, right? If you're immunocompromised or if you're 65 and older, we're certainly still recommending that you stay up to date for your boosters. If you live with somebody who's immunocompromised, or is over 65, you really probably want to stay up to date too with your boosters. But like I said before, individuals should be really talking to their doctors about what makes most sense for them. One thing I can share personally is I had COVID last year before the booster shots came out, and I was really, really sick for a good number of days, for 3 days, right? So I wish that booster shot was out before I became sick, because likely it would have kept me feeling a little better.
Mm-hmm. I had the same situation. I wasn't boosted with that bivalent shot, and I couldn't lift my head off the pillow the first day. I was so sick. Mm-hmm. So hopefully we're protected now. All right. So what is the Westfield Regional Health Department doing to ensure equitable access to vaccines and boosters for all residents, including those from underserved communities?
Yeah, this is something that we're really working hard to address, especially now that we know free testing is probably going to go away. So the first thing we're doing is we're out there in the community, right? We are out distributing COVID test kits. We are offering vaccinations in the community free of charge. Like I said, we'll even do home visits. If transportation is an issue, we will come to you. We also have hired a team of translators. At this time, they are just bilingual Spanish and English. But what we've noticed in some of the community summit in particular is some of the individuals that are looking for vaccination, English is the secondary language, and maybe the English speaking skills, the individuals might not be so strong in them, and they feel most comfortable communicating in Spanish. So we've hired translators to come out and really help get that health information to those individuals so they feel at ease when deciding if a vaccine is appropriate for them or not.
Okay, that sounds great. Okay, we have a question from Fred. How are these COVID-related issues, some stated as being free, really being paid for?
Well, they're being, so I think Fred is referring to the free testing and the vaccinations, I suppose.
And possibly the test kits.
Yeah. So those all came from federal funds. So that is where that money did come from. I believe Congress appropriated, a set amount of funding to purchase these supplies last year, maybe the year before.
Okay, terrific. Here's one more question for us. Why was I not allowed to get tested in November 2020 because I did not have a cell phone? All testing facilities from inside a 10-mile radius from where I live in Summit required to bring along a mobile phone or tablet in order to get tested in the first place.
So I can't really speak to that. I'm not familiar with every testing center, certainly within the city's borders. But what I can tell Fred is if he is in need of COVID testing, please just reach out to me or the communications office, and we'll be so happy to provide you with COVID over-the-counter test kits that you can even keep throughout the fall and winter, and for anybody else too. That's certainly our goal, to make testing as easy and convenient for individuals so they can test early. That's the other thing too, if I may. So, we're talking about low levels of activity, and we're at the end of the pandemic, and we're moving to more a chronic ongoing health issue. But I always want to take the time to remind residents everywhere, the behaviors we had during COVID, although, they might not fit your lifestyle anymore because you're healthy and you're young and you're at low risk for disease, complications, that doesn't mean that the person that rides the bus with you is in the same situation, or your coworker is in the same situation. So, we really believe that early testing, if you have symptoms, is still a really good thing to do. Even if you might not get sick, right? We're still trying to protect those most vulnerable. Also vaccination, right? It's really good for everybody to be vaccinated, but then they're going to say it was masking, right? So mask mandates went away a long time ago. But it might not be a bad idea, and it might be considerate that if you are coughing, if you are sick, there's nothing wrong with putting on a mask. For example, if you have a respiratory illness and you're running into CVS to get some NyQuil, right? It might be something that you might want to consider, to put that mask on while you're at the store, because even if it's not COVID, right, we want to keep all those germs away from other people who might be more susceptible to severe illness.
Mm-hmm. And can prevent you from even getting a common cold.
Right, exactly.
Yes. All right, great. Are there other viruses that you're concerned about right now? Anything on the horizon that you see out there?
This time of year, we really see two things. So we see lots of foodborne illness this time of year. Barbecues, people going out to eat more, people traveling. There is a lot of information on our webpage on how you can protect yourself from foodborne illness. One of the most important things that individuals can do always, not just this time of year, wash your hands, right?
I thought she was going to say
yes.
that.
So, wash with soap and water, certainly after you use the bathroom and before you eat. And if you're preparing food, before you start preparing food and as you switch food items. So if you're chopping raw chicken, you want to wash your hands before you start to chop the salad for your lettuce. The other thing that we see this time of year is vector-borne illness. So mosquito-borne illness and tick-borne. So like Lyme disease, babiosis, and then West Nile virus, although rare, we do still see. So we always like to remind residents, please remember that if you're going to be outside, to wear your insect repellent and check yourself for ticks after being outside. And please just check your properties. If you have anything on your property that can hold standing water for mosquito breeding, we want to make sure that we eliminate those types of situations.
Like our bird bath.
Exactly.
Exactly. Okay. And does mosquito repellent need to have DEET in it to be effective?
It's really good if it does have DEET in it. Some of the natural, based insect repellents, there's some studies that show they might not work as well.
Okay. All right. Terrific. Lots of great information. Megan, is there anything else that you would like to add?
Just, to recap, if anybody's interested in free over-the-counter tests or free vaccination, please contact the office. We are happy to provide both. If individuals are unsure, because the schedule's really confusing, have I had a bivalent vaccine or not? Kind of one easy rule of thumb is if you had your last COVID shot before September of 2022, you most likely did not have a bivalent vaccine. The bivalent vaccines came out in September of 2022. But anybody with any questions walking through the vaccination schedule, you can just contact us. We'll be more than happy to walk you through it.
All right, terrific. Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
your time.